Hi everyone and welcome to episode 8 of Relegation Rescue at Portimonense with me, the United City FM. Welcome along. So we've only had one game since the last episode to play. We've shortened the distance between the games just to finish off this series. But it was a really good one, a really positive one against a direct rival in the terms of being in the middle of the table in the Portuguese top division. So it was really positive. Hopefully that will see us through in terms of momentum through to the rest of the season. We've got a few games left, 3 I think it is. Today we played bottom of the table Santa Clara, so let's hope for some more points. Only the one game since the last episode. As I said in the intro, it was a really good one, and it's Vitinho with 4 goals in that particular match, a 4-0 win against a direct divisional rival as well. We'll show the table in a second, but yeah, 4 goals means he's now on 11 in 8 starts, and it has been he that has been really key to us moving forward in this second half of the season. The days where we had those 3 losses in a row against the 3 really big sides in the division, or 3 of the 4 anyway, have come and gone. We went on a better run again. We lost recently, but and had a bit of a blip against Sporting, but we've bounced back with an absolute bang. And in table terms, it still leaves us sitting in 8th position. 31 games played, so we've only got 3 more left, 41 points. We are 5 points behind a Europa League spot. I think that's probably going to be beyond us because there's a couple of teams fighting for us for it, but we can give it a good go with a decent win today, and we do get Santa Clara, who are sitting bottom of the table currently, and so you would hope more than anything that at least we put on a worthy display and actually show why we've been moving up the table recently. So let's hope that we can do that. Couple of suspensions to tell you about today. Sarr got sent off in the previous match, unfortunately, so he's suspended for today, and Mufi picked up enough yellow. Was it the other way around? I think Mufi got sent off in the last one, sorry, and Sarr picked up enough yellow cards to get a suspension as well. So both of those are out for today, so we've had to reshape the side. But the eagle-eyed viewers amongst you will notice that Fernandez is back on the bench, having been absent all the way through this particular series, because when we came into the club he had a 5-month injury layoff. He has finally made it back to be on the bench. He's played he's had one appearance for a few minutes, not much more than that, just to see if we can get some match sharpness into him for maybe the last game of the season where we can play him. But he is back in and around the squad, which is fantastic. We also had an issue before for Medeiros as well. He is back in and around the squad and on the bench today because of the reshape, because Sarr comes out the side and Oliveira takes his place. So there's been a reshape on the bench. But other than that, the main first 11, as you look at it, and the team that has been basically dragging us up the league all the way through this second half of the season, most of them are fit and healthy and raring to go. So, for today's game against bottom of the table Santa Clara, we have Ferreira in goal, Hackman at right back, Anzi at left back, Maurizio and Pozzagnolo. Rocker is still just coming back from his injury. They're in central defence. Oliveira, Rashid and Denner in central midfield, with Job on the right, Macias on the left, and Vitinho up top, and our 9-man bench, 5 of which we can use in the game. So let's get into today's game and see what happens. So with outstretched arms, I've suggested to them I want them to go in and continue exactly from where they left off in the last match, which was an absolutely brilliant performance. We decimated our opponents on that occasion and provided Vitinho with plenty of chances at goal. So with more of the same today would be phenomenal. Let's see if we can. Let's see if we can continue to cause Santa Clara some misery at the bottom of the table and continue to move ourselves up closer to that Europa League spot spot if at all possible. I still think maybe with a couple more games after this to go, maybe it's a couple games it's going to be too short for us to be able to get to the Europa League, but we were certainly clawing at it for a little while, and we get an early opportunity with a highlight. We play it very nicely around at the back to find the space for us to move the ball forward into midfield, and Rashid on the ball is our creative influence. That's the guy we want on the ball, really. Gets it back again and then tries to thread it through to Vitinho, doesn't quite manage it. But Santa Clara then just boot it clear, and we managed to pick it back up again. So that's really positive. Oliveira on the ball spreads the play out wide right to Job, who gets round his opponent really well, and he's double teamed for a little while, still finds Denner, who gets into Macias, and then there's a block on the ball and they get it cleared. But some good early pressure from us in the first 10 minutes, so a couple of shots at goal, none on target, but at least we're getting through and putting them under a little bit of pressure, which is more than what we can say for them so far. They have had little say in this game thus far, but we'll not count our chickens until they hatch, really, because anything can happen at any point, can't it, really? And it's Rashid again taking over in the middle of the park and just calming the play down, making sure that we stick to our ideals of short, sharp passing and then threading that ball through again, through the eye of a needle onto the on-running Macias, and he couldn't quite put it away, but it goes for a corner kick, and it's Job on the far side with corner kick, puts it into the 6-yard box, but it's partially cleared until we again pick up that loose ball, which is really good to see. We are winning all of the loose balls in midfield, it currently feels like, which is fantastic, and it constantly means that we're putting them under pressure all the time. Hackman with the throw-in finds Job. Job turns again and he goes one-on-one with a defender but loses out this occasion. But again, they just boot it clear, and defensively we can mop it up, regain possession and set ourselves going again, and Rashid does so with Job on the right hand side, but again there's a block, but he nicks the ball again, gets into the box, and then a wild shot. Really wild. He did all the hard work to get in. There were chances to cross the ball into on-running attackers as well. He chose to fire a shot at goal, and it wasn't a good one. And that will bring the first half to a close. It's a first half that we played quite well in. We had lots of pressure on them and caused them all no end of problems. But ultimately, we didn't do enough to warrant a goal, which is a bit disappointing. So we're going to have to do something with that. We're going to point the finger and we're going to say, let's see, which one are we going to go with? Keep going the way you are and the result will come. And that got a lot of good inspired motivation from the side. So we go straight back into the second half, and then we're going into the shouts to demand some more from them, just to put them under pressure to find this goal and find the points if at all possible. Oliveira with the ball in. Vitinho drops it back to Rashid, and there is the goal. 5 minutes into the second half, from the edge of the box, a long drive along the floor from Rashid puts it into that bottom corner. A really good throw in, and it's Oliveira that gets the ball into Vitinho. He does the smart thing of dropping it back to Rashid, who finds the path through to goal and absolutely thunders the ball into it. And we eventually take our 1-0 lead, and finally it feels like we've got something that we can now fight for in this second half. Rather than trying to get a lead, we can now protect it a little bit. And what I hope is that the vertical tiki-taka, short, sharp passing will do us the world of good in this context of just being able to keep the ball and frustrate Santa Clara and not really give them a sniff at anything. And this is the area that we can do that in. And Oliveira taking his time, and that's what we want. And that was a brilliant ball through by Rashid again. You can see that Oliveira took his time, held onto the ball, dropped it forward a little bit for Rashid to take over. I love this moment of pausing. Nobody was encroaching, and then somebody did, which opened up the space, and then a one-touch pass from Rashid into the on-running Job. And he eventually puts paid to that particular chance, and we go 2-0 up. And he made amends for the one that he missed earlier on in the match, didn't he? 72 minutes in, we can now, with a 2-0 lead, see if we can rest a few and potentially bring on some fresh legs as well. So we are going to take out Anzi and bring in Candy. We are going to bring Fernandez in for Denner in that attacking midfield role, which is fantastic for to be able to use him as well now for the closing few games of the season. We're going to take out Macias and bring Valente in, and we're going to give Marquis a run up top instead of Vitinho, and we've got one more that we can make, and I think what we're going to do is we're going to take Pozagnolo out and bring Roca in just to aid his return from a bit of an injury spell he's had as well. So it gives us a great opportunity to rotate the side around a little bit, keep everybody fresh, bring some guys on that need some minutes on the pitch, and hopefully protect a 2-0 lead with some fresh legs as well. So all in all, I think this is a pretty comfortable setup, and again it's job through on goal. This time the goalkeeper does really well to parry it, and the striker wasn't particularly on his toes to go and nick the ball at that point, and the defenders cleared it away. But at least again we were pushing at them and causing them problems, and you've seen that they've had to change their shape. They were 5 across midfield a little while ago, and they've changed that up and put 3 up top because they're desperate for something which will open up the space at the back. Valente into Marquez, and Marquez gets a goal himself in the 85th minute, having come on as a substitute. Unless there is any form of offside there, which I don't think there was, then this is another really good move, and it's Hackman that brings the ball forward, sweeps it across to the left-hand side for Valente, controls it really well, pokes it through to Marquez, and he gets there before the defender and shoots the ball into that far corner. And we go 3-0 up, unless there's an offside, and there isn't. He was held onside, which is brilliant. And another comfortable win. When this side works, there's a bag load of goals in this team, which is brilliant to watch. Occasionally, we come unstuck. Unfortunately, it's a little bit inconsistent. But on a day like today, can we get another one? We can't quite. Marquez nearly does. Great through ball on that occasion by, I think, Fernandez, who's demonstrating what he can do in the attacking midfield role now. But unfortunately, the finish wasn't quite there on that occasion. The cross comes in again, but now it's a chance for Santa Clara to clear their lines. They do so very nicely, and they keep hold of the ball this time, something that they've been unable to do for a lot of this particular match. Whenever it's gone forward, it's been sort of hit and hope type balls, and they haven't really caused us any problems. And the final whistle goes on a 3-0 win. Now, we kind of expected a win today, I would guess, really, against the bottom side in the division. But again, we played really well. Look at all these average ratings. And the likes of Rashid was the star of the show in central midfield. If we just go and check him out and find out what he's done this season. Only a couple of goals in his 30 appearances, but 9 assists. And not as many, no player of the match awards. But I thought he was phenomenal. I guess today might be his first player of the match award, and it was. So he's been really great for us all season, pulling the strings, and today he's recognised for that in terms of a decent performance, getting the player of the match award. So here we are on the analysis page, and you can see that in terms of XG, we had an XG of 1.78 and got 3 goals from it. So we performed above and beyond what was expected of us again, which is brilliant, just like in the last match where we won 4-0. You can see that we had a decent amount of effort, especially this sort of grouping here in the penalty box. Very happy with that. Couple of long shots as well, and really spectacular stuff today. Vitinho really supported well by the likes of Job, and Rashid being the star of our show. We still had a few against us in terms of shots at goal, but again our goalkeeper held out. Another clean sheet for him, and he continues to perform really well, which is fantastic. You can see that our heat map suggests we had so much possession in the top half of the pitch, which is phenomenal achievement. And again, our shape works really well for us. The vertical tiki-taka on the asymmetric formation, if you've not played it, I suggest you have a look at it. as one of your 3 tactics that you can set up. I think it's a really worthwhile one to have in your locker. It keeps the ball really well. It gives a route through the team all the time in terms of how we can move the ball forward. But the shape is such that it's all quite compact as well, which is really good. So if we go into the team stuff and look at our shooting boots today and see how good we were, we got 3 goals. We had 4 shots that went off target. And so that's a little bit disappointing, but a couple of them were for really wide angles and from very long distance. We didn't hit the woodwork. We had 4 that were saved. If we clear the other 2, you can see that those 4 were all inside the box. So good chances, and the goalkeeper obviously did well. And then a defender obviously blocked another one roughly around the penalty spot as well. So we had chances to make it even more than the 3 that we scored. Our passing, let's have a look at the completed passing map, because it just makes me laugh all the time. What are you supposed to make of that, other than we play really well with a vertical tiki-taka on a short passing? Intercepted, not too bad, but quite a few in this sort of defensive midfield area today. Maybe that SAR missing wasn't meant that we weren't quite on our mettle exactly in that area of the pitch, but not too bad. We only had 1 blocked pass. So that's okay. I quite like that. Unsuccessful. Again, couple from the throw-in sort of area. Couple being fed through from the central midfield area. We were trying to thread through an eye of a needle at times. And it worked a couple of times for us. But obviously there were occasions where it didn't. Out of play. Again, I like this particular stat. This is good. This is diminished a lot in the time that we've been in charge in terms of how many times we're putting out of play. We're still trying to spread it too long from this particular position in terms of once we got it in from sort of the defensive area into midfield, maybe we're going too long occasionally, but not too often really, and I'm quite pleased with that. And then we'll look at the 6 key passes. Couple from the wide right, 1 from a corner kick on the left-hand side, couple thread through from the outside the area. And this one here was the good one, wasn't it? This was Vitinho passing it backwards to the top of the box for Rashid to then put it into this corner of the goal. And that was a phenomenal bit of movement and play by the team. So all in all, really, really happy with that today. So we've got 1 more of these statistics that we can look at, and let's go and check out average positions. This is always interesting to see how the side is playing. So this is us with the ball. You can see that we are quite compact. We're not using the full width of the pitch as much as you may think, but that enables the short, sharp passing that we do in the vertical tiki-taka. And then when the opposition get the ball and potentially go round the outside, at least we've got lots of players in that central position, quite narrow, to be able to really see out the danger as well. So, and you can see that from top to bottom, in terms of Vitinho being our number 1 guy up top, he sometimes gets a little bit isolated. This guy was his replacement, so these 2 didn't play at the same time. So it sometimes gets a little bit isolated, but he's got the skill to be able to hold the ball up or even just drop a shoulder and get past that central defender and move in on goal. And you can see the difference between when we've got the ball and when we haven't got the ball is minimal, really. A couple of players drop back in central midfield a little bit just to keep the shape a little bit better. But overall, it's not too bad in terms of having to change up much. So it works for us both ways, when we've got the ball and when we haven't, quite well. And if we chuck the last one in here of the overall position between the 2, this is what you end up with. There's not a lot of difference there, is there? Which is great to see for me, because it means that once you lose the ball, they're not having to drag themselves back into different shapes. They're keeping roughly the same shape. And if we win the ball back, it means that we can just move forward really quickly in our style of play, because everybody's in the place that they need to be. So overall, really happy with that. Really happy with the general performance today, and Rashid being the star of the show is great. 12 shots at goal, 7 on target, 7 and 1 for them. I think we were superb. 93% pass completed, 61% of the possession of play. and I'm delighted to have been able to get another 3 points on the board. So we'll go in and say I'm very happy with the way that you played. Apparently a couple of them look anxious. Don't know why that would be, but they're only bench players, so maybe that means that they just know they're not going to get more of a game because the team are playing so well. We move up a position, but only because we've played the first game of the weekend, so there's more games to play in that sense around us for this particular section of the league season. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with all of the other sides once they've played their 32nd game. But at the moment, I'm really, really delighted with how it's going. So in terms of next episode, it becomes the final episode of this particular short-term series, half a season, to see if we can save Portimonense from relegation. I can safely say we've done that and some, which has been brilliant. But we've got one more episode to come, 2 games to play, but next episode we'll be playing Tondela in the final game of the season. Between then and now I'll play Ferreira. Ferreira sitting in 16th, so you'd hope that this good run of form continues right the way through to the end of the season. If we go and have a look at the table, I played through the weekend just to see if I could get a few more teams onto 32 points and give us a clear picture of where we are in the league with a couple of games to play. You can see that, where are they? Tondela sitting in 12th position, Ferreira sitting in 16th. Those are the 2 that we got to play. Another real good opportunity for 6 points, I would hope, but you can never quite tell. But we sit in 7th position now. We've moved up a spot into 7th position. We are still 5 points behind 6th position, so if we win both of our games and they don't, we could potentially get up there, but I think it's probably unlikely at this point. But all we can do is focus on ourselves, and what we've got to do is purely and simply win our 2 games, Ferreira and then Tondela. So come back next episode and we'll wrap up this whole series and see how high we can actually get. Can we get that Europa League spot? Not sure, but we'll give it a good go. Thank you for joining me today, though. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and join my United City community, the more the merrier. You can do that in a number of ways through Discord and Twitter, and you can support my channel through Patreon or merchandise that I've got. All the links in the description below to those things. Click that like button on this particular episode for me if you could. That will help me get seen by lots more people, which is what I really, really want for my channel to continue to grow. Until next time, though, take care of yourselves. I'll see you very soon. Bye for now.